Hello, today I would like to talk about difficulty in Final Fantasy XIV. Yes, this has been a big deal, I believe, at the moment. It's been a discussion that a lot of people have been talking about, and I think I would like to weigh in as a resident grandpa of Final Fantasy XIV. First of all, I would like to preface this with, I am a washed up raider. Yes, it is true. I don't raid hardcore like I used to. I've gone to the mines and I've come back, retired, never to be seen again. I think I'd like to start with defining what is casual and what is hardcore. Casual to me is what I am, really. I'm casual. Even though I play a lot, right? I'm still casual because casual is a mindset. The difference between casual and hardcore is not hours played, is not skill, is not difficulty of content that you do. It is your mindset. I can go raid, I can go do ultimates, but I can be casual about it. I can go in there and not care how long it takes me to do it. As long as we're having fun as a group, it's a way to hang out with our friends. That is casual to me. Hardcore, on the other hand, would be something like, the new raid tier just came out, and guys, we got this schedule going, make sure you eat. And I mean real food and sleep. Get your rest, because we are not sleeping for the next 3 days in order to get our week 1 clear. That is a hardcore mindset. Not because they're going to be raiding for a long time, but because they're going in with the express goal to kill it as quickly as possible. Now that I have said that, it is possible for a casual and a hardcore player to enjoy all different types of content in this game. Hardcore and casual can enjoy ultimate raids. Now, conversely, you could be hardcore about things that aren't difficult to do on a skill level. For example, doing relics. You could be hardcore about getting relics, right? Relics take a really long time to get. And so you can be a hardcore mindset of, I'm gonna do nothing but relic grind for the next month. And I wanna do that because I love relic, right? That is hardcore too. And now in summary, my thesis states that if you consider yourself casual or hardcore, it does not matter when we're talking about the difficulty of content. You decide your mindset and you decide how you feel. So, that said, Dawntrail content is at a perfect difficulty. And I'm saying this as myself, a washed up raider and now super casual player. I just play to have fun because it's a game. And games that have battle content, by the way, are fun with a healthy dose of challenge. You know, there's the extreme version of that, which is, Dark Souls type of stuff, right? Like that is super hard, and that's the point. This game isn't meant to be super hard unless you want that. There is content for that challenge. But in general, the things that are supposed to be done by the general player base, you still want to have a bit of healthy challenge there. Otherwise, it's boring for everybody. Being able to just go into a dungeon and face roll it without thinking about anything is not engaging gameplay. Now, you may think otherwise, and that's okay, right? We can agree to disagree there. The reason I wanted to preface about casual versus hardcore, and it's actually just a mindset, is because how you view challenge is also a mindset. You can go into a dungeon and wipe, and that's okay. Nobody's gonna be mad at you. It's fine. Everybody has to learn. It's one of the greatest things you learn from doing some of the more challenging content in this game, like extreme primals or raiding or ultimates, is that it doesn't matter how many times you die. Eventually, you die enough and you learn how not to die. Or sometimes, me, I die anyway, and every time it's a new thing for me, but whatever. Or I kill my whole party, and then I'm a mechanic. The people in your party is a much more difficult mechanic than the rest of the fight, but I digress. It is okay to learn. It's fun to learn, and all you do is just you wipe and you start again. And that's like our superpower in a video game, is that we can die and learn how to do it again. So basically, it doesn't matter if you're dying or wiping in regular content that you would consider easier content, right? All that matters is that you and your party work together and you learn and you have fun doing it because it's a game. And then when you do learn and surpass the mechanic, it's so rewarding. It's such a great feeling. I think that feeling is what a lot of raiders chase when they're doing savage raids and ultimates. They chase that feeling of overcoming that challenge because they learned how to do the mechanic perfectly. They learned how to do team jump rope, and it's synchronized swimming. And then you and your raid team go closer because you guys just went through some shit, right? Like you guys went through stuff. And that's how like really strong friendships are forged in this game. And you know what? That wouldn't happen if it was too easy. It needs a healthy dose of challenge. Now, it is really hard to get that right. Here's an example of when it's too hard. Gordius. Alexander Gordius was really bad. That was a problem. Look at this guy. You see him? You see how he's undulating? Yeah, that undulating is because he killed so many statics. This guy is the single-handed reason why raiding almost died again, and why Final Fantasy XIV almost completely had another A Realm Reborn disaster. It was way more difficult than what a Savage level raid was at that time. It was a huge difficulty spike that people weren't prepared for, and people could not clear it. It took them weeks. Statics disbanded over it. They fought with each other and they could not do it. But even if you did kill Living Liquid, that was only the third fight of the tier. You had to get to Manipulator, and Manipulator was even worse. Not only was it kind of difficult mechanics wise, but it was gear locked. You literally needed more gear in order to clear it than was available to you at like the first week of release. So that combination right there is a prime example of what not to do for a Savage level difficulty. Sure, you know, for Ultimate, go nuts, do whatever. Like that's what that's reserved for. But for Savage, it needs to be somewhat attainable, right? And then Extreme Primals are a little bit less than that. And then everything else is a little bit less than that. Basically, the way the community in general views it is that if something is able to be done in the Duty Finder, you expect to be able to clear it within the time limit. That's all. That's your expectation. If you queue into a dungeon, as long as you can kill it in the time limit, that's acceptable, right? That's okay. Now, if you're really running out the time limit in a dungeon, I mean, something's going horribly wrong. But you can still do it, right? Like that is the expectation. You queue into it and you expect you guys will clear. Extreme Primals and Savages and Ultimates, if you just queue in the Duty Finder, you're not really expecting to clear, now are you? Now, okay, that's in like not Japan areas. Like in Japan, they actually do the reverse of what we do. They use the Party Finder in order to learn, and then when they're ready to go clear, they go and hop into the Duty Finder. But us, we use the Party Finder in order to get groups together to clear that more challenging content. Now, this also brings up what the devs were talking about with making job design more difficult. I now understand what they were talking about when they mentioned that you guys don't want us to make the jobs harder because we already made the regular content harder and you guys can't handle both at the same time. And I agree. We need to ease into it, okay? So it makes sense. Have the jobs where they are right now, and then the difficulty and the challenge can come in the content itself. Once people are used to that, then we can, up the dial on the job design. Now, some things are actually just really interesting game design. Some of the challenging stuff in dungeons and story trials are actually just deceptively challenging. Here is the best example. I'm not gonna spoiler here, but if you want, you could skip like 30 seconds ahead. There is a mechanic that looks insane, right? There is so much stuff going on. But you know what? They can do that because they expect you to die. They don't mind if a bunch of people die there because they give you back the Limit Break 3 in order to heal or LB after. They purposely designed a crazy looking mechanic and a mechanic where people will die, and then they give you the means with which to resurrect and recover, and they give you that really cool moment of, oh my god, everybody's dying, and oh man, the healer raised us all, oh! Right? Like that is a really awesome moment, and they did that. They managed to nail it. And you might look at that mechanic and go, oh my god, this is so hard. This shit, why are they putting these ultimate level mechanics in my story? But no, it's on purpose because it's deceptive. It's not actually challenging. It just seems like it is. Dungeons too. There are some challenging mechanics in dungeons, but guess what? It's all recoverable. None of it is too punishing. Challenge and punishing is very different. You can have interesting mechanics that are challenging, but they don't punish you so hard if you mess them up. That is two separate things. And the punishment is actually more of a problem. If something is incredibly punishing, that makes it so that, maybe we can't clear, right? Maybe this is just a hard cap where the people in this party aren't able to clear this. It's too punishing. We can't recover. But no, in dungeons, that's not the case. I pretty much expect if I go into a dungeon, again, we're gonna clear, right? When was the last time you vote abandoned a dungeon? Oh yeah, there's another thing about dungeons. We used to have DPS checks in normal content. There used to be times where if you didn't kill an ad fast enough or you didn't kill a boss in time, you die. Like in Amdapur Keep, there was the demon wall, and the demon wall had bees. And if you didn't kill the bees in time, they final stung you and killed you. And then if you didn't kill the wall in time, well, you got knocked off and you died. And you wipe and you gotta start again. So better have good DPS, right? We don't have that kind of stuff anymore. The boss doesn't enrage in normal content. You can literally just push Ruin 3 and eventually you will kill the boss. Please don't do that. But I'm just saying, you can. As long as you dodge everything and all you do is push Ruin 3, eventually the boss will die. I think that people are a little bit used to Shadowbringers and Endwalker content design, where the general content like dungeons and story trials and the normal mode raids, where those things were pretty simple, right? You pretty much cleared those things the first try. Well, the game didn't used to be like this. The game used to have much more difficult things even in the normal modes. They're leaning a bit more back towards that. And that is really, it's healthy for the game. It's healthy for the game to have a healthy dose of challenge. It teaches you to learn and it teaches you to be okay with failure. Being okay with failure is a skill, and taking those failures, learning from them, and using that to succeed is incredibly rewarding. I will also mention that the type of challenge in these dungeons and normal mode raids are actually the best possible type of challenge they can do. Let me explain. They are not make or break knowledge based. And what I mean by that is maybe the first time you see it, you die to it, right? But it was very apparent and clear what happened to you. And within 1 to 3 tries, you can take a look at it and realize, oh, that's what happened. Okay, I know what to do next time so I don't die. The other type of challenge that this game used to have a lot of is heavily knowledge-based challenges. An example of this very early on was Brayflox's Long Stop. Do you remember the dragon at the end of Brayflox's Long Stop? Well, that guy used to really hurt, okay? And that alone, that's okay. But, he would spit out acid. Okay, just dodge the acid. No, he had a habit of spitting the acid right under him because, you'd hit the tank or the melee and now the acid is under the boss. And when the acid was under the boss, what do you think happened? He was invincible, and I think maybe he healed too. I don't even know, but yeah, you could not kill him. If the boss was in the acid, he was unkillable. And so you had to know to run him out of that. A lot of people early on did not know to do this. So it was very common where when you were leveling and you got Brayflox's Long Stop, you're going in the party and being, bring the dragon out of the acid. There were many things like this, especially in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, where the mechanic itself is not particularly telegraphed, but you just have to know what to do, otherwise everybody will die. Those are the type of mechanics where I find that in order to really get good at them, you just have to play the game a lot and you participate in the community and you learn, right? You just learn by being a part of this world and realizing what happened. These other types of challenges are more about just execution, just seeing what things are happening on screen at the moment and executing on them. So yes, they're challenging, but they don't require so much knowledge in order to do it. And that is a very healthy type of challenge. Look, the very first boss in the game, Sastasha, it expected you to know to go stand on those bubbly grates in order to not allow the ads to come up and just overwhelm the party and kill all of you. You just had to know to do this. The very first time you're there, you see these grates on the floor and you're like, oh, there's bubbles. How would you know that standing on those grates would stop the bubbles and stop the ads from spawning, right? There's no way to know this. Lo and behold, a bunch of parties, they didn't know to do that, and oh my god, now there are 4 ads swarming the boss and everybody died. right in Sastasha, the first dungeon of the game. Dungeons today are not even as hard as Sastasha was in A Realm Reborn. Maybe that's crazy to say, and maybe that's a little bit back in my day, the game was so much harder. But I don't know, man. All I know is that going through Dawntrail, going through the dungeons and the story trials and the normal mode raid, I was pleasantly surprised at how good the fight design was. It was perfect. It's exactly the type of level we need the normal modes to be. It's just challenging enough to wipe the party sometimes, and that's okay. You get up and you try again. All this to say, if you're somewhat newer to Final Fantasy XIV, maybe from Shadowbringers onward, I hope you enjoy this level of battle content, because I think and I hope it's here to stay. And maybe if you just consider your mindset to be more okay with failure, I think you'll come out the other end of this really enjoying this content. So yeah, this is probably a lot of old man yells at cloud, but you know, I love Final Fantasy XIV, I love the direction it's going in, and it's seeming like we're in a really good spot for the start of the next 10 years of this adventure. So buckle up. And you know, if you're still having problems, you could always just play Summoner. It's really easy. Yeah.